Jai Guruji, welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into the second Pauri of Sri Japji Sahib. Last time we sat inside the first three lines. We learned that Hukum, the divine order, is not a distant decree, but the continuous living intelligence by which everything exists. We saw that Hukum creates every physical form, moment by moment, and that this hukum is itself beyond words, because the mind that would describe it is made by it. We saw that hukum creates every soul, every spark of consciousness, and that true greatness is bestowed, not seized. And we sat carefully with the most misunderstood line in the Pauri, that the varying circumstances of a life, the high and the low, the pain and the pleasure, are written by Hukum, not as judgment, but as the terrain each soul is given to walk. We ended with a question, perhaps the hardest one of the second body raises. If everything is by Hukum, why do some souls seem to find their way home with ease, while others wander? And if truly no one stands outside the Hukum, what does that mean for the soul who feels most lost? Today we complete the journey. Three more lines, and by the end, we arrive at what may be the single most important sentence in all of Gurbani. Let us begin with the full Pauri once more to hold the whole in view. Hukmi hovani akar, hukum na kaya jaye. Hukmi hovani jiyo, hukmi mile vadiyai. Hukmi uttamu neech, hukmi likhi duk sukh pai. इक्की हुक्मी बख्शीश इक्की हुक्मी सदा भवाई हुक्मे अंदरी सब को बाहरी हुक्म न कोई नानक हुक्मी जे बुझे तो हाउ में कहे न कोई. By his command all forms come into being. His command cannot be described. By his command souls come into being. By his command greatness is bestowed. By his command some are high and some are low. By his written command, pain and pleasure are received. By his command, some are blessed and forgiven. By his command, others wander endlessly in cycles. Everyone is within his command. No one is beyond his command. Says Nanak, one who understands his command does not speak in ego. Today, our home is the final three lines. Let us enter. Line 4. Ikna hukmi bakshish, ik hukmi sada bhavai. By his command, some are blessed and forgiven. By his command, others wander endlessly in cycles. This line stops many listeners. It raises what is perhaps the deepest spiritual question that exists. If God is just, if God is loving, why do some receive grace and liberation while others wander in cycles of suffering? Why the difference? Why does the same hukum produce such different outcomes? Let us take every word. Ikna means to some, for certain ones. This word is plural. It refers to a category of beings, not one special person, but a group of souls. Hukmi, again by the hukam, by the will. Bakshish, this is one of the most beautiful words in all of Gurbani. Bakshish means grace, bestowal, a gift freely given. It carries a strong connotation of forgiveness, a slate wiped clean, debts erased, the soul released from the weight of its own accumulated separations, liberation, mukti. coming home. The soul that receives bakshish has been freed from the cycles of birth and death, freed from the endless wandering of consciousness that does not yet know its own source. It has, by Hukum, been drawn back into alignment with the One. It has arrived. Now, the second half. Ik again means others, some others. Hukmi, by the same command. Sada, always, perpetually, without end. Bhavai, to be made to wander, to be kept circling. The image is of a soul in Bhavjal, the ocean of existence, the cycle of reincarnation, going around and around, never quite finding the shore, never quite arriving home. But why? Why do some receive bakshish and others bhavai? If everything is within the same hukam, what accounts for the difference? The answer lies back in line 3. In the word lik means written. What is written is not arbitrary, it is the consequence of what has been accumulated. Gurbani elsewhere says, Ape bij ape hi khao. What you plant is what you harvest. The wandering soul is not being punished by an angry God. It is experiencing the natural consequences of its own accumulated patterns, lifetimes of haumai, of ego driven choices that created distance from the source. Think of a river. Some water flows directly and plainly to the sea. Some water gets caught in eddies, circular currents at the bends in the river, where it rotates and loops for a long time before eventually rejoining the main flow. But all of it is the same water. All of it is within the same river. All of it is heading ultimately toward the same sea. The soul in Bhavai is not lost forever. It is not abandoned. It is water in an eddy, still within the river of Hukam, still moving, still held by the same current. Eventually, when the accumulated ego layers thin enough, it will rejoin the main flow. Eventually, it too will receive bakshish. The wandering has an end. The river always reaches the sea. And bakshish itself, the grace that frees some souls, is it arbitrary? Does God simply pick favorites? No. Bakshish is what happens when a soul's resistance has sufficiently dissolved. When the accumulation of homai, the layers of I and mine, has thinned enough that the light can pour in. The grace was always there. It is like sunlight, present, constant, available to everything. But a window covered in dust lets very little light through. As the dust is wiped away through Nam, through Seva, through Satsang, through honest living, more light enters. Bakshish is the moment the window is fully clear. This line is also a teaching about patience. The second Pauri is known in the Sikh tradition as a mantra for patience and stability. Yogi Bhajan said this Pauri can be recited 11 times as a practice for developing patience. And you can feel why. When you understand that everything, including the wandering, including the suffering, is within Hukam, something relaxes in you. You are not failing. You are not broken. You are a soul in a river finding your way, and the river knows where it is going. Line 5. Hukme andar sabko, bahar hukme na koe. Everyone is within his command. No one is beyond his command. This is the line. The line that everything in the second Pauri has been building toward. The line that may be the most comprehensive spiritual statement in all of Gurbani. Let's pause here for a moment. Let these words settle in the body, not just the mind. Hukmai, of the hukum, within the hukum. Andar means inside, completely contained within, not influenced by, not subject to under certain conditions. Inside, the way a fish is inside the ocean, the way a thought is inside the mind. Total, complete, unconditional interiority. Sabko means everyone. Sub means all, entire, every single one. Ko is an intensifier that closes every possible loophole. Not most beings, not almost everyone, every single one. Bahar hukam na koe means outside the hukam, no one. Bahar means outside, na means no. Koe means anyone, any being whatsoever, no exceptions, none. Let the full weight of this settle. Not most things are within Hukam. Everything. Not most beings are within Hukam. Everyone. No exceptions. Not the saint, not the sinner, not the human, not the divine being, not the atom, not the galaxy, not the thought, not the silence, not the holy person in prayer, not the person who has denied God their entire life. All of it within, none of it outside. What does this mean practically? What changes when you truly absorb this line? It means there is no outside. There is nowhere you can go to escape the presence of the One. Not into darkness, not into sin, not into denial, not into suffering. Even in the darkest moment, even in the most desperate, most broken, most God forsaken feeling state, you are inside the Hukam. The One has not turned away. The order has not suspended itself. You are held, even when you cannot feel it. This is not a threatening statement. Read it again with different ears. Hukme andar sabko, everyone inside the Hukam, everyone, including you in your worst moment, including you when you have made every mistake, when you feel farthest from God, when you feel most unworthy. The Hukam does not exclude you. It cannot, because there is no outside. The Gurbani elsewhere says something that illuminates this perfectly. Dhan peer ka ik hi sang vasa, which homai bhit karari. The bride and her divine husband share the same dwelling, yet between them stands the wall of homai. The soul and God are not separated by distance. They share the same house. They live in the same space. What separates them is not location. It is the illusion of separation created by the ego, and that illusion is itself within the hukam. This line also carries a revolutionary social teaching. One we heard echoed in line 3 last time. If everyone, the Brahmin and the so called untouchable, the king and the beggar, the Muslim and the Hindu, the saint and the most troubled soul, if all of them are equally inside the Hukum, then no human hierarchy can claim divine sanction. No caste can claim God's special endorsement. No religion can claim to be the only one inside the Hukum while others are outside. The Hukum is universal. Its domain has no borders. And finally, this line is medicine for the deepest anxiety. So much of human suffering comes from the feeling of being outside, outside of belonging, outside of goodness, outside of love, outside of God's care. The inner voice that says everyone else is okay, but something is fundamentally wrong with me. Guru Nanak looks directly at that voice and says, that feeling is the lie. You cannot be outside. There is no outside. Hukme andar sabko. Inside the hukam, everyone. Bahar hukum na koe. Outside it, no one. You are in. Line 6. Nanak hukme je buje. Ta homai kahe na koe. Says Nanak, one who understands the hukam does not speak in ego. We have arrived at the final line, and in one sentence, just 8 words, Guru Nanak delivers the complete diagnosis of the human problem and its complete cure. Nanak, Guru Nanak's own signature. As throughout the Guru Granth Sahib, the Guru inscribes his own name, taking personal, spiritual responsibility for what he is about to say. Not the scriptures say or tradition holds. I, Nanak, testify to this. I stake my name on this. Hukme means of the hukam in relation to the hukam. Che buchai, if one understands, if one truly grasps, if one comprehends. And notice this is conditional. It does not say if one knows the word hukam. It does not say if one has read the definition. Bujhe implies a depth of understanding that goes beneath intellectual knowledge into lived realization. The difference between knowing the word water and drinking it, the difference between reading about the ocean and being immersed in it. Ta means then, the consequence. The if has been satisfied. What follows? Home kahe na koe means the ego does not speak. Homai does not talk. The I claim falls silent. Now let us understand Homai, because this word may be the most important in all of Gurbani, and the full power of the second Pauri depends on understanding it. The term Homai is a compound of two Sanskrit pronouns, Ho and Mai, both meaning I. So Homai literally means I, a doubled, emphatic, compounded sense of self. It is what the ancient Indian tradition called ahamkara, the I maker, the mental function that continuously says, I am this is mine, I did this, I want this, I am separate from that. Gurbani describes Homai as a deep rooted disease. Homai dirag rog hai. And the Sikiwiki explains Homai is that condition of mind which keeps a person ignorant of the true reality, the true purpose of life, and thus keeps them away from union with God. It is the wall between the soul and the source. But here is what is remarkable. It is not a wall made of stone. It is a wall made of belief. The belief that I am separate. The belief that I am the author of my own life. The belief that I generate my own consciousness, my own talents, my own gifts. The belief that what I have is mine and what others have is theirs. Now, what is the connection between truly understanding Hukam and the dissolution of Homai? This is the master stroke of the entire body. The ego's central claim is authorship. The ego says, I did this, I achieved this, this belongs to me, I deserve credit for my successes and shame for my failures. I am the one steering this life. But look at what the second Pauri has shown us across all six lines. Your body came by Hukum. Your soul came by Hukum. Your circumstances, high or low, came by Hukum. Your gifts, the intelligence, the talents, the opportunities, bestowed by Hukum. Your very consciousness, the awareness with which you are hearing these words, given by Hukum. Everything you would use to make the claim, I did this, itself Hukum. When this is truly understood, not as an idea stored in memory, but as a living recognition, the ego's claim collapses on itself. There is no longer anyone left to claim authorship. The wave realizes it did not generate itself, the ocean did. The fruit realizes it did not manufacture itself, the tree, the rain, the soil, the sun did. And in that realization, the continuous noise of I, I goes quiet. Homai kahe na koe, the ego does not speak. And what remains when the ego goes quiet? This is the mystery that Guru Nanak does not fully describe in words, because words are themselves ego produced, but the entire Guru Granth Sahib is an attempt to point towards it. What remains is the awareness that was always there, underneath the ego's noise, the awareness that belongs to the One, the consciousness that is the Hukum itself, experiencing itself through you. This is what the tradition calls Jivan Mukti, liberation while still alive, not freedom after death, freedom now, in this body, in this life. When the ego stops claiming, the prison dissolves and you are home. One last thing about the final line. Notice, Guru Nanak does not say, understand the Hukam and you will receive liberation. He says, understand the Hukam and you will not speak in ego. The fruit of the realization is not a grand spiritual event. It is quietness. It is humility. It is the ability to move through the world without the constant noise of I, me, mine, distorting every experience. That quietness is the liberation. That humility is the homecoming. Let us step back now and see the second Pauri as a complete, perfectly constructed whole. The six lines we have walked across two episodes. Line 1. Hukam creates all physical existence, and Hukam itself cannot be described. Lesson. Reality is vaster than any concept the mind can form of it. Line 2. Hukam creates all inner life, souls, consciousness, greatness. Lesson. Neither body nor spirit is outside the divine order. everything is given. Line 3. Hukum governs all of circumstance, high and low, joy and sorrow. Lesson. Every experience, difficult or easy, has meaning within the order. You are not abandoned in your dukh or suffering. Line 4. Hukam governs all outcomes. Grace and wandering. Lesson. Even those still circling in the cycles are held within the hukam. The river always reaches the sea. Line 5. Everyone, without a single exception, is inside the hukam. Lesson. There is no outside, no exclusion, no true separation. You are in. Line 6. Understand hukam and the ego falls silent. Lesson. The realization of hukam is a cure for the disease of ego. Notice the movement of the body across our two episodes. It begins with the outermost physical forms and moves inward to souls, to circumstances, to grace and wandering, to the universal container, and finally to the innermost, the ego and its dissolution. It is a spiral inward, from the most visible to the most invisible, arriving finally at the heart of the human gap, spiritual crisis, the ego that believes itself separate. And the answer is not to fight the ego, not to suppress it, not to punish it. The answer is to understand the hukam. Understanding hukam is sufficient because the ego cannot survive the clear seeing of hukam. When you truly see that everything, including yourself, arises by hukam, the basis for ego's claim evaporates, and in that space, something quiet, something vast, something that has always been there, steps forward. Let us close today by reading the second Pauri in its entirety, one final time. But now, having walked through every word, every layer, every implication across both episodes, let each line land in a different place. Hukmi hovani akar hukmuna kaya jaye. By his command, every form, every body, every galaxy came into being this very moment. And the command itself, too vast, too deep, too close to us to be fully named. Hukmi hovani jiyo, hukmi mile vadiyai. By his command, the soul inside you was breathed into existence. And by the same command, true greatness is given, not seized. Hukmi uttamu neech, hukmi likhi dukh sukh pai. By his command, some find themselves in high places, some in humble ones. By this command, both the joy and the sorrow are written. You are being taught, not punished. Iki hukmi bakshish, iki hukmi sada bhavai. By his command, some receive the grace of liberation. By this command, others continue wandering the cycles, still finding their way home. But no soul is left behind. The river always reaches the sea. Hukme andar sabko, bahare hukum na koe. Everyone, every single being is inside the hukam. No one, not one soul, is outside. There is no outside. You are in. You have always been in. Nanak hukme je buje, ta haume kahe na koe. And Nanak says, the one who truly understands the hukam does not speak in ego. The I goes quiet, and in that quiet, something infinite, something that has always been there, opens up. The second Pauri is a teaching that reveals, line by line, that the universe is not chaotic, not random, not indifferent. It is ordered, it is intelligent, it is full of a love so vast that it holds even the wandering soul, even the proudest ego, even the darkest moment inside itself. You are never truly alone, you are never truly outside, you are never truly separate from the One. Even when you feel most separated, that feeling of separation is itself within the Hukum, and the cure for that feeling is not to escape, it is to understand, to really see, to let the seeing dissolve the claim of the eye. The invitation of the second Pauri is not a demand, it is a door. The door of Hukum stands open. You do not need to qualify to walk through it. You do not need a certain birth, a certain ritual, a certain level of learning. You are already inside. Hukume andar sabko. You only need to realize it, and in that realization, the ego that kept you feeling outside quietly steps back, and you are home. Let us close as Guru Nanak himself closes the first Pauri. The words that open the door that the second Pauri has now walked us all the way through. Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, Hai bhi Sach, Nanak Hosi bhi Sach. True in the beginning, true throughout all ages, true here and now, and forever and ever. True. Jai Guruji.